Hi, guys. Rick Damouth at Cowtown USA here with our first episode of Cowtown USA in the country. And I've got my good friend here with me, Mr. Bill Cooper.
Oh, I tell you what, Rick Damon, you were born in the country, man. I mean, out in the sticks.
I don't know what he meant by that.
I think you're still in the sticks.
Well, we're starting this off. This is our first episode for Cowtown USA in Cuba, Missouri, hunting in the country, something like that.
Hunting in the country, man. I tell you what, we've done that all of our life. You know?
Yeah, I thought of that. I listened to this deal the other day. They said there was somebody sung a song about boys in the hood.
Yeah.
I'm thinking two white boys in the woods.
Two white boys in the woods. Hey, well, you were born in the woods. I was born in the swamp.
In the swamp. Well, there's a big difference there.
There's always been a big argument between the swamp rats and the hillbillies.
Well, I tell you what, it's kind of going to be like Laurel and Hardy. And I'll let the people out there decide who's Laurel and who's Hardy in this deal. I'm telling you, I'm pretty polished.
Pretty polished. You talk about your head or what? Well, I tell you what, Rick, you and I, we go back a ways. We got 10 or 12 years in, that we've worked together on a ton of different outdoor-related projects, And I've told you this more than once. You guys laugh at me out here. In fact, some of you guys, people
bruised your heart.
No, they got a great deal of confidence in me, man. Oh, Hermie, when he was here, he used to come over and touch this machine. If you touch it, it's going to sell.
We got lots of machines with Can-Am out here in the showroom, I can tell you that.
Oh, that's for sure. And I do. I come over here and I kind of slobber on the equipment sometime. You got those beautiful Legend SS boats, those Can-Ams, man. And, I'm no farm boy, too. I was raised a cotton farmer. I actually picked cotton. And now you got these beautiful big red tractors out here, man.
We do. But Bill, people didn't turn on here to hear a commercial. Let's talk about the time that I took you snow goose hunting.
No, I took you snow goose hunting.
Now, folks, I'll let you decide. Now, here's the thing. Here's you guys need to decide about the fact checker, the fact check, FACK checkers, fact checkers.
No, FACT. He went to school in Bunker, Missouri. So.
Well, I went. It didn't say that the syllables.
He didn't win any spelling contest.
I didn't. And the syllables don't come exactly the way that in my mind they don't come out over my lips.
Well, I think out there in those hills and hollows they made a lot of moonshine.
I had nothing to do with that. Nothing to do with that. That was my grandpa.
That was your grandpa. That's pretty poor, laid off on your grandpa. But I tell you, that snow goose hunt, that's one of the most memorable, funniest hunts I was ever on in my life. I was dealing with
It
with
depends
this guy
where you were at in this snow goose hunt, where the fun come in at.
I was dealing with an outfitter down out of Dexter, Missouri. This guy had 7,200 acres of rice fields leased up that we could duck and goose hunt on, We went to, during what they call the conservation order. You can hunt geese during the regular season, with the Canada geese and ducks and all that kind of stuff. But after the regular waterfowl season shut down, they have this conservation order where you can, and Rick Damon loved this, you can take the plugs out of your shotguns, you can use electronic collars, and you can kill all them rascals you want to. How many did you kill, Rick?
Move along with the story. Just move along.
But anyway, Rick, he was just flabbergasted. He'd never seen tens and tens of thousands of snow geese in one field.
They was every place, Bill. I mean, the sky was black with geese.
No, it was white with geese.
White with geese.
Yeah, you got your lenses are fouled.
Yeah, I'm what's called a racist. I just don't see colors.
Okay, but the real crux of this story started when we walked out in the field, it's just barely getting light. We had 2,000 decoys out. You have to have a huge spread to get these rascals to even look at you.
And I want to tell you this, too. Every time the wind blowed, we'd have to get out and change the direction where those decoys was looking. Yes.
Well, yeah, it's a lot of work because, I don't know if you know this or not, but waterfowl like that want a light coming into the wind. So the wind changes, you got to adjust your decoys and make a hole in there for them to land on, Well, before that all started, Rick had crawl into a coffin blind?
That was my first mistake. My first mistake was saying, "Yeah, I'll go with you," or "I'll take you. I'll go with you." That was the first mistake. The second mistake was, don't ever get into anything that has coffin attached to it. That was my second mistake.
Well, your brother was with us, and we were chuckling the whole time because we knew exactly what was going to happen. These are really a ground blind, a layout blind, stretched out, and you get in them, you zip them up. Well, I've never been in a coffin before, but I imagine it's kind of something like that.
It's a whole lot like that.
Yeah, you've been in a coffin before?
I've been seeing people in coffins.
Well, I do too. That spooks me. So let's keep talking about the snow geese. But Rick's in his coffin blind, and he squealed like a 6-year-old girl come flying up out of that blind. There's spiders in that blind.
There was spiders in that blind.
Well, they were little bitty spiders.
Yeah, but when you're laying there and you're trying to hold your breath and be real still, because you're telling me they could, even through that all that corn that you piled on, corn, what do you call it?
Corn stalks.
Corn stalks piled on top of me, that they could even see my eyeballs move.
Oh, they can.
So I was trying to be still, and then you
didn't do a very good job.
Them spiders would come down through there. You'd see them on them strings, and here they hit you on the neck and run down your shirt collar. Oh my gosh!
Your brother and I, we were just giggling up. We kind of set this up, because any of you that are waterfowl hunters and you get out in cornfields, that corn was cut, months previously back in the fall. Well, lots of critters visit that corn, including spiders. As the sun was coming up, I could see millions of little spider webs about the size of the softball glistening.
There was a whole lot he didn't explain to me when he
well, you wouldn't have gone.
When he loaded me up in his pickup truck. Well, there's the fact checker. He actually took me. I was remembered a different way. and conned me into going down there and crawling in something called a coffin, and spiders every place.
I can't remember spider one in my blind.
Because you probably sprayed yours. I went to Walmart.
Yeah, we had to break off our hunt and go to Walmart to get him some spider spray.
Yeah.
Murdered all those poor little spiders.
Well, I had no mercy on them at all. It's either that spider spray or I was going to start shooting with that shotgun. And my neighbors probably around me wouldn't have liked that very well.
Probably not, but I'll tell you, I wish I'd have filmed that whole. I did film some of that. In fact, I made a little video out of that. You remember how much trouble you had getting out of the coffin blind? I thought Rick was there to stay. Actually, his brother come over to help him. He had to help him out, grab him by the hand, and kind of lead him up out of the blind. Well, in a little video I made, I yo-yoed Mr. Damouth, and it looked like he fell backwards about 22 times before he got out of that blind.
Folks, he remembers this a whole lot different than I remembered. I'm telling you that. I had no help getting out of there. I was getting out of there pretty handily.
Now, listen, Rick Damouth, I've been an outdoor rider for 52 years, and you talk about facts. I have to get my facts straight.
Oh, yeah.
For the most part.
He's telling me about the letters behind, instead of PhD or DOC or DOD, his is LIAR. That's the syllables behind his name.
Oh, now, come on. Well, okay, I admit it. Outdoor riders are known to be rather egotistical people who stretch stories a little bit.
I think you're pretty loose with the syllables, too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do. You turn them syllables about any way you want to turn them.
I'll tell you, but I've never caught a small fish in my life, Rick.
Well, I don't doubt that a bit.
You just look at the photos I take, I do long arm them.
Yeah, your arms are 6 foot long.
Well, yeah. Hey, but, man, what great fun. And, we've had some other great times together right here at Cowtown USA, man. And, Rick, you and I are not going to be the only ones on this show. You've got a house full of experts right here under your roof.
Experts?
Well, I'm trying to help them get a pay raise. Hey, I've used a lot of these guys on radio shows and podcasts over the years. There's Doug Davis, who's your sales manager.
Sales manager. Yeah.
Doug can talk about anything. He's been here for decades. You know? So he can talk about Legend SS boats, or he can talk about the ATVs, UTVs, spiders. Oh, talking about spiders, those spiders that you ride.
Yeah. Now that's more in my deal right there.
I think that was a get me back thing about the spiders in your coffin blind, because you put me to working with spiders at one point. you didn't know it at the time, but I was scared to death of motorcycles and anything like that. You had me riding all over the country, you know. Well, Rick Damouth, buddy, I tell you what, time flies when you're having fun. And, folks, we're going to take just a short break here, but don't go away. We're going to be right back with more of Cowtown USA and Rick Damouth, if you can take that. Go get a cup of coffee.
We're back. We're back. I got Mr. Bill Cooper and my nephew here, Lee Williams.
He's your nephew?
He is my nephew.
Now I understand.
He is my cousin's mother's son.
Can you say that 3 times fast?
That's a whole other segment, guys. That's a whole other segment.
When Mr. Bill said, we're going to talk about squirrel hunting, I thought, oh, my gosh. Go get Lee.
Go get Lee. Lee's a great outdoorsman. I've used him for a long time, many times on radio shows and podcasts, that sort of thing. But, guys, you know, we're looking at Memorial Day weekend here, and one of my favorite seasons of the year, man, is coming up, the 27th, which is today, Saturday, May 27th, man. And it's just awesome. So, squirrel season. And what else, Lee?
Black bass opener.
I know that that's one of your main deals in the outdoors, man. But let's talk about squirrel season first. You know, it opens Saturday, May 27th, and that runs clear up in like February the next year.
February next year.
15th, I think. That's a long season. Now, you probably don't remember this. You're not old enough, but Mr. Damouth is old enough.
Now, careful.
Well, you're an old hillbilly from way back, man. Born way out. I think he was born in a community where squirrels were invented out in the hills, you know.
They were the mascots.
Hey, the bunker squirrels. I could hear it.
Yeah. If we lost the ball game, we eat the squirrel. So he made a great cheerleader.
Made a great one.
Well, I tell you what, I bet you ate many a squirrel dinner in your youth.
Oh, I promise you, I grew up eating them, and here's the deal: we as kids we would fight over who got the head to get the brain and the tongue.
Exactly.
And that was
the delicious part of it.
Yeah, it didn't affect me at all. Eat squirrel brains.
Well, I would argue that point. But Rick, down the boot hill, exact same thing, man. And we didn't have the woods that you had. You know, I grew up in cornfields and soybean fields and cotton fields. The only place we really had to hunt was along the drainages, the old bayous, you know.
Yeah.
But, boy, we had huge trees. Well, we had trees along the bayou 130 feet tall, and then big old hickory trees, you know.
There we go back to fact checkers.
Yeah.
Fact check. We need a fact checker on that.
I'm telling the truth on this one, you know.
Yeah.
You can see them squirrels on top of it. Well, you could almost see those squirrels.
Yeah, he shot them with BB guns. He shot them with slingshots.
Well,
in the top of the trees. Go ahead and tell a story. I didn't mean to.
Okay, I admit it. I'd shoot up a box of 22 shells, you know, trying to knock one out on top of them hickory trees. But Lee, 22 shells, we shot shorts because they were cheaper, you know. 50 22 shells for 49 cents.
Man, I wish those days were back.
Man, me too.
Not me, because I was making $1.60 an hour back then. I didn't want that days back no more.
Well, you were rich. I was hoeing cotton for 50 cents an hour.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, you know, so don't talk about who was the poorest, man. That's why we ate squirrels and rabbits and raccoons and lots of fish, but 49 cents a box, man. And I actually rode a school bus. I went to a little old school.
He rode his short school bus, too.
Only had 4 windows, huh?
Well, he stayed there long enough. He drove the bus.
Now, guys,
he drove the bus and went to 4th grade class.
That's not even funny because they made me walk to school several times.
Uphill both ways, right?
Yeah. Wasn't any hills at the boot hill. But you used to ride this school bus to a little community called Dorena, D-O-R-E-N-A. You could almost see the Mississippi River from it. In fact, there's still a ferry there that operates between.
We don't talk about ferries on this broadcast now. We draw the line here. We don't do the ferry stuff.
I forget I'm in the hills, you know. But yeah, there's still a ferry that you put your truck on.
The boats that haul you across the river. There you get it.
You leave Dorena, Missouri, and go to Hickman, Kentucky. Yeah, fair still runs there. But back to these squirrels. Now, you mentioned slingshots. You know, there are several legal ways that you can hunt squirrels, man. And shotguns, rifles, pistols. I love to use. I've got a Buckmark 22 Browning semi-automatic pistol with a red dot scope on it. Now, Rick, top of that tall tree, I can hit that squirrel in the head with that.
Now we need the fact checkers again.
Okay.
I knew the fact checkers was going to be big when he invited me on this radio show.
All right. Well, I'm gonna put you in your place here. You know, you can use archery techniques too. Do you ever kill a squirrel with a bow?
No, you don't kill with bows. You kill them with arrows. Oh, don't kill nothing.
Well, I've killed a couple with my bow. But you can also use slingshots. Now I never killed a squirrel with a slingshot, but we grew up making our own slingshots. You know, I think I still got bruises in my rib cage and belly from shooting a slingshot.
Oh, yeah.
You know, we'd get a forked stick and get all the bark off of it and put notches on top of it, and we'd steal somebody's bicycle inner tube right out of their bicycle to make their straps for that slingshot.
Oh, yeah.
And you could take another piece of that rubber tube and make a pocket for your rock, you know. But those things had a bad habit of backfiring. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I'd pull clear back my chin, my arm extended forward as it go and let that thing fly. It'd go out there and the rock didn't come out, and it'd come back and hit you right in the chest or the stomach, man.
Problem
Problem
was
was,
going the wrong way there.
yeah, the problem was
Well, maybe I had it backwards.
you turn loose the wrong end. You're supposed to turn loose the rubber band end, not the forked end.
Well, I tell you what, they would hurt you.
Now I'll tell you this. Now Lee's grandpa used to shoot those rocks and acorns at us as kids. I mean, we'd get out behind the bluff and he'd be shooting them and he'd just zing over top of our head and hit Big Creek and knock the biggest splash. If he'd have hit us between the eyes,
I think he did.
he did not.
Might explain a few things, huh?
Hey, yeah.
He did not.
Yeah, but another thing you use in Lee, and I'm surprised you haven't done this, you can use an atlatl for...
That is one thing I've not tried.
Me either. It looks dangerous, too.
Add a what?
Atlatl. That's
Add a paddle?
Big, long arrow with a stick with a notch in it.
Yeah, it's long, like 7 foot, and your arrow's like almost 7 foot long. You lay it in the cradle of this stick that's been carved out, and the cavemen used it, I think, you know.
You guys are two cards short of a deck, so all I can tell you.
Well,
add a paddle.
When's your birthday? We're going to get you an atlatl.
You're making the syllables up now.
I wish you were.
No, but atlatls, they're legal for deer season, too, and there's been a handful of guys that have killed deer with an atlatl.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I believe that.
Another way you can get squirrels, now Rick will jump all over this at his advanced age, you know. You can actually use traps for squirrels. They have to be the box type trap, you know. Yeah, you can use those. I guess people use those when they got problem squirrels, you know. I'm kind of like a nephew of mine. He's probably 40 years old now, but my brother lives over in Kentucky, and he's telling about one of his grandsons come over one time, and there's squirrels in the backyard. And my brother Phil had taken this little Ryan was his name, I think. He'd taken Ryan squirrel hunting a few times, and boy, they'd had some good squirrel hunts. Well, Ryan got all excited because he saw those squirrels in the backyard. Grandpa, let's go shoot those squirrels, man. He said, no, Ryan, we can't shoot those squirrels. Said he just got the biggest frown on his face trying to figure this out. He said, well, I know why. Phil says, well, why is that, Ryan? He said, well, because those squirrels in the backyard are nice squirrels. You don't shoot them out in the woods. They're bad squirrels, so we shoot them.
You know, we brought Lee in here to talk about squirrel hunting, and he got 3 syllables in here. You're just a talker. Just talk.
I am, and I hate
at it, man.
Hey, I hate to cut you guys off, but we're going to carry this over into the next segment. We'll be right back.
We're back.
Oh,
you
boy.
could have turned it off while you had the chance. Today with Lee Williams and Mr. Bill Cooper here with Cowtown USA Outdoors.
Yeah, I should have took off one squirrel hunting, Leah. I tell you, I take high blood pressure medicine, man.
You're going to have to take an extra dose when you get home.
Oh, you're telling me this?
Think of that.
Yeah, but hey, we were talking about squirrel hunting, man, and
You were talking about squirrel hunting.
What were you talking about?
No geese.
He's still having nightmares about spiders and that coffin blind.
For life for that one.
But I want to give you two young fellas a solid squirrel hunting tip my dad used to use, and see if you ever heard of this in up in the hills. Of course, you had to have 2 quarters now to do this. Now, I doubt a hillbilly ever had 2 quarters. But
That's a half day's wages.
hey, 50 cents an hour I made.
Yeah.
But my dad used to go out and he loved to sit under the hickory trees, A lot of times the trees were so thick with vegetation, it's hard to see the squirrels. But my dad had a trick to make them show themselves. He'd take those 2 quarters and he'd grate the serrated edges together, and it would sound just like a squirrel cutting on a hickory nut. Well, them rascals would run out and look on a limb to take a look. They thought there was another squirrel that they didn't recognize, Boom, they got a load of 6s right in the face.
I could imagine. I'd say they run out there up your tree, look down, they'd just seen another squirrel.
Squirrel hunting, though.
I got Mr. Lee here with us, and he's got a squirrel hunting story, I am sure.
Oh.
I got too many of them to tell, to be honest with you.
We only need 1 or 2. And we don't like it, we'll interrupt.
The fact checkers to step in.
Oh, boy, the fact checkers.
Yeah. But did you ever use a squirrel dog?
I've used squirrel dogs before, yeah. They help out a lot, especially in the spring and summertime when it's so really bushy up there.
Yeah, you bet. Now, what breed of dog did you use?
Jack Terrier.
Jack Terriers. Jack Russells?
Jack Russells, yeah.
Well, they're mean little guys.
Yeah, but boy, they really love to hit them squirrels.
Well, they do, yeah. One of the guys here in the building's got a mountain cur, I think.
Yeah, mountain cur. Nick, yeah.
Nick Miller, yeah.
I heard him talk about that dog yesterday. He said it said the dog opens a refrigerator and has a free-for-all in there and eats his steaks and leaves him the peanut butter.
He told me he ate the peanut butter, too.
Eat the peanut butter, too?
Yeah, about 3 days ago, he ate a whole tub of butter.
Yeah,
I said, is your dog overweight?
We need the fact checkers again, I'm telling you. FACK, that's how you spell fact checkers.
Well, I tell you, Lee, you know this, using a dog in squirrel hunting adds a whole new dimension.
It does, yes.
It just makes it a ton more fun. And I like it because most of those little dogs that'll chase those squirrels and run them up the trees, they try to climb the tree and bark at them, and the squirrels quite often will bark back at them.
Yeah.
And that's
laughing at them, ain't they?
Yeah, they think till I get that 22 after them.
Yeah.
I used to hunt with my Uncle Dan, and we'd dog tree squirrel. It'd be a hole. It'd be up in a hole like that in the base of that tree. I remember one time, we was pretty hard up, I guess, because he pulled his boot off and took his sock off and put it up there and set that sock afire. Smoked that
squirrel out of the tree.
Yeah, with this, I don't know if it was the stink from his foot or
now, Bill, I can
smoke.
fact check that because my relatives, that's not the first time I've heard that story. So.
Yeah, it's a fact with my hand in the air. I was there.
He's probably one set the fire. Yeah, that was an old squirrel hunting technique. Yeah, you're getting put in jail for that these days.
I'm telling you.
They have taken some of the fun out of things, Yeah, in my youth, we did some rather wayward things. But, man, did we ever have fun?
Oh, yeah.
We didn't hurt anybody. We didn't offend anybody.
And we really didn't care if we did.
Yeah, it just wasn't a concern back then.
Hey,
the ducks are coming in.
Yeah, I hear the ducks are coming.
Boy, oh boy. But what's fun? But I got to ask you guys. Now, I know both of you have eaten on a squirrel in your lifetime. What's your favorite squirrel recipe?
Fried squirrel.
Hillbillies eat everything fried.
Oh, yeah.
It's either between fried or the squirrel dumplings. It's a hard toss-up for me.
Oh, now you're talking to my own heart, man. I like fried squirrel too, don't get me wrong, but I love squirrel and dumplings. And squirrel has got its own unique texture and flavor. I prefer squirrel over rabbit 10-1, man. But let me tell you guys a little tale. About 30 years ago, I took off on a float trip down the Big Piney River for Memorial Day weekend. Both the black bass season coming in, squirrel season coming in. I was in a canoe by myself, and I put on a Big Piney about...
There's a reason he was in the canoe by himself.
There were spiders in the other end.
There were spiders in the
Rick wouldn't get in. But I put in at 10 o'clock at night, full moon, man, drifting along the Big Piney River. But clouds came up, and it got a little dark, and I could hear this roar downstream. This 2 hours in the float. It's about midnight. So it might be a good time to pull over, So I found a little bitty spit of sand just big enough for my 17-foot canoe, flipped it over, crawled up under there, and went to sleep. Got up next morning, and on that trip, this was in the fall. Well, no, that was a different trip. But anyway, got up next morning, went squirrel hunting, man, killed a few squirrels. Black bass season was in. caught some real nice smallmouth, and I'm kind of a believer in catch and release when it comes to smallmouth. But I caught some dandy goggle eye. You know what I had for breakfast that morning? Fried
Snow geese.
Squirrel.
Snow geese.
Snow geese.
I didn't even know what a snow goose was yet. No, man, fried squirrel, biscuits and gravy, and fried goggle eye for breakfast.
Sounds like a pretty good breakfast there.
It don't get much better than that. But, Lee, I know you're a big smallmouth fisherman. I think we've worn the squirrels out, except save those squirrel tails. You know, you can actually send them into MEPS and trade them in for what? Lures.
Oh, yeah. I make my own lures out of them. I don't trade them in.
I don't either. I steal other guys' squirrel tails. You know, I love the red ones. I shouldn't even tell this, but I take like an 1/8 ounce crappie jig, man, and I put fox squirrel tail hair on that jig. Yeah. And if I got a raccoon hide laying around, I take that fuzzy hair and put it around the front for kind of a collar right behind the head.
What do you do with the raccoon's lips? What do you do with that part of him? Because you're a conservationist, you wouldn't waste anything. So what'd you do with his lips?
I fed it to my dog.
Oh, I guess that's not wasting it.
That's not wasting it.
No. But anyway, the jigs I'm talking about are deadly for smallmouth and trout on the rivers because you bump them along the bottom.
Yep.
And they look like sculpins.
Yep.
And, man, they are deadly. And Rick Damouth will call me a liar again.
No, I wouldn't.
But I was on the Merrimack River one time about 5 years ago by myself, and I never caught
He's
Lee.
always by himself for a reason.
There's a reason for that.
Because he'll
stories,
set
right?
you up, he'll put you in a coffin blind, and not warn you about the spider. He'll set you up every time.
Okay, I have a reputation for that. At my old age, nobody wants to go with me because I think I've used up all my tricks, you know. But back to this trip on the Merrimack, man, I mean, I caught a lot of smallmouth that day, but in 4 hours, and I had pretty good. Running total in my head, I caught 540 inches of brown trout.
Wow.
Mostly on those jigs I'm talking about because it was an extremely cold, cloudy, windy day, spitting snow, nobody else out on the river. I was all by myself.
How many inches long was this brown trout?
Well, if I stacked them tail to nose, 540 inches.
Oh, okay. You had me going there for a minute. I thought you had a brown trout that's 540 inches, and I
State
thought,
record.
oh my gosh.
He knows I'm winded. He won't believe this story either, but you hear about the new record trout out of
The lake trout?
yeah, 76 pounds or something.
I didn't even know they got that big.
I didn't either.
Was it over 540 inches long?
If you'd add the length and the girth, it might
It
have
might
been.
have been, yeah.
I'm not kidding you. This guy's holding this thing like you'd hold a pig. You know, if you'd have put little short legs on it, I'd have called it a pig.
Called a pig.
Yeah. But, hey, man, black bass season. What's your favorite bait?
Depends on the time of year. I mean,
We're talking Memorial Day weekend.
Memorial Day weekend, I'm going to have to go with an imitation hugglebite jig.
Hellgrammite?
Hugglebite, yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
That's one of their favorites, but you know what tops that?
Cherry bombs. That'll do it every time. They'll bite on a cherry bomb every time.
Hey, now you're telling your age again. They don't even make cherry bombs anymore because too many of us got our fingers blown off.
Missing a few fingernails.
But he thinks he's so cool, you know.
For what?
Throwing cherry bombs in the creek. I did it too, you know. It'll make fish float.
Oh, it does. Yeah.
I did it as a kid, but also when I was in Vietnam, I spent one day on one of these patrol boats, you know, going up the rivers with these guys, and we got back to headquarters and back to the base. Lots of Vietnam people paddling around in their little sampans. They had little bitty nets, and boy, they didn't have very many fish at all. And this old boy from Arkansas picked
That's
up
where
a
my
hand
dad
grenade.
was
He
raised.
said, "I'll help him out," and he pulls the pin, heaves that hand grenade way out in the water, and of course it sinks a couple of seconds, and hand grenades sink pretty fast. But you wouldn't believe the mushroom of water that come up out, and there were fish floating everywhere. Everybody in little sampans were digging as hard as they could go to pick up the fish, man. U.S. servicemen helping the locals.
See, that's what I would be, a U.S. serviceman helping helping myself.
Well, yeah. Well, I really helped them out that day. But black bass season, I got to tell you, for the largemouth on the stream, smallmouth, either one, I am a huge fan of soft plastic, particularly those young dinger worms, 5 inches, come in a rainbow of colors. Use green pumpkin, use black and blue. I love a color called Mardi Gras. You can party while you're throwing that bait.
Party when you throw it and party when you reel it in, too.
Party time.
You betcha, man. But golly, it's so much fun. And, we got a jillion things we could talk about today. We covered the squirrels and the black bass season, but I feel like I need to do a wrap-up on turkey season, Lee. I know you're quite a turkey hunter. He kills one every year.
What about the snow gooses?
No, I hope I never see another snow goose. but turkey season, here in Missouri, everybody across the country talk about how bad the turkey population has become. But we still, in the state of Missouri, our season ended a week or so ago, and 42,000 turkeys still killed in the state of Missouri.
I know it was quite a big increase from the last 2 years, I hear too.
Yeah, but did you notice on Facebook though, a lot of the turkeys were big turkeys, 23, 24 pounds, 25.
They were big ones this year.
A little 10-year-old kid up north in Missouri killed a 27-pounder. I hate kids like that.
Kind of makes you envious, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely. But I know, did you kill 1 or 2 turkeys this year?
I killed 1 this year. Yep. It was a good season. Had a lot of gobblers, but it just didn't pan out right for the second bird. So
it happened. I was kind of under the weather most of the season. Didn't get much time out. But one morning had 5 gobblers gobbling on the roost. It'd be the easiest pie, But doggone, those things tend to outsmart you.
No, every time.
Hey. I heard them fly off the roost, and boy, I had my shotgun up. I was ready, man. Next time they gobbled, we're 100 yards the other way, leaving fast.
Just didn't sound pretty enough.
There's probably in the tree roosted above. You looked down and saw a squirrel.
Yeah, no doubt. But the famous Ralph Duran, worked for the Conservation Department forever, said it was one of the best seasons he'd ever had as far as the amount of gobbling he heard. So, it was a great season for a lot of people, just unfortunately. But, there's still some seasons going on across the country. Folks, change your tactics. Whatever you've been using to call with, get something different. Give them a different sound. Because turkey's not very smart, but their instincts are pretty darn good.
You're working against Mother Nature.
You bet. Guys, we need to take another short break here. But, folks, don't go back. Don't go away. We're still having fun.
Ah!
What did that guy say?
You're in the same room with me, and he said, "Close your eyes."
That's dangerous.
Goodness! Welcome back to Cowtown USA Outdoors.
If you do that, close your eyes when you get in the coffin blinds, you wouldn't see those spiders.
No. I've learned my lesson about close my eyes, and I'm around you.
Bill, I think you scarred him when you took him hunting.
No doubt about it. I'm sure he has nightmares about spiders.
Oh my gosh! When they start running down your neck and down your shirt, I don't know too many people that can sit there and take it. And he said I squealed like a little girl. I did not.
Yes, he did.
I gritted my teeth.
I've got a witness, man. His brother was there.
Oh, that's really a good witness.
Hey,
Everybody out
there in Radio Land, watch YouTube over next week. I'm going to repost the video of Rick Damouth in the coffin block.
No.
Send me that link. I want to see that.
Oh, absolutely, man. No, I'm going to start charging admission, man. It's so funny. It's hilarious.
It's just so hilarious.
Lee, you know me, man. I've been in this business for 52 years, and that rate's right up there in the top 3 funniest hunts I ever had in my life. I'd love to do a repeat of that, but I don't think I'd get him to go with me.
Take me a spray can. I'm telling you that. Spray it down.
Oh, he probably takes a spray can everywhere he goes,
Anyway, we're back, and it's Cowtown USA Outdoors Live with Bill Cooper, Lee Williams, and me.
Rick Damouth. Don't forget that name. Look for the photograph in the post office.
We started off as Laurel and Hardy. Now I think we got the Three Stooges. I'll be Mo.
No, you speak for yourself.
You speak for yourself.
I'll be Mo.
You keep telling how old we are, man. Laurel and Hardy and the Three Stooges. Lee probably don't even remember those people.
Three Stooges. You got to remember, I'm related to this guy.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, you probably heard about them, but I doubt you saw them like we did.
My goodness. I remember you used to come to Bunker, and they'd bring what was called the... what was it? They called it the Goofy Show, and they'd show up there with a big tent. Lee probably don't know nothing about this. Big tent, and they'd sit there by your grandpa's gas station, and then they'd show movies in it. They'd charge you 10 cents to go in and watch the movie there at the Goofy Show.
The Goofy Show.
Oh yeah, I went. I wasn't the star there, but I did go.
Well, that surprises me.
He wasn't on the big screen, huh?
Well, I'll tell you what, Lee, if you'll chip in with me, we'll get a little black mustache, we'll glue on Rick, and he can become Groucho Marx.
Hey, wait a minute. Wait a minute. I'd grow my old mustache.
I used to love to watch Groucho Marx. But Lee, I envy you. You're taking off this weekend, heading over to the fabulous Gasconade River.
Yes.
River, most
Gasconade.
crooked river in the country.
Is that right?
Hey, it flows 300 miles within the border of Missouri.
Yep.
You can go over here to Waynesville, Missouri, and from point A, point B, around this long ridge is 15 miles. It's only a quarter mile across the ridge.
Is that right?
How come you don't know that?
I didn't know that. That's inquiring minds want to know.
He was born on the other side of the ridge.
I was going to say, he's on the other side of the ridge.
Way
I was
over there.
born on the other river. I was born on the Kurt River, so I don't know much about the
Gasconade?
Yes, that's what you said.
That's a French word. It used to be till we anglicized it.
Oh,
But-
is that true? I didn't know I could
It's
talk French.
true. It's
You
true.
know, I called the Canadians the other day, and I was talking to them, and I said, they answered the phone. I said, "Parlez-vous français?" I heard that on Nickelodeon. Parlez-vous Fran? Do you know what parlez-vous français
I don't know, but
means?
it don't sound nice.
Well, I didn't know what it said.
I think he was trying to say hello.
Yeah, that lady said, yes. And I thought, what did I ask?
What did I say?
And I said, what did I say? She said, do you speak English? So that's what parley. See, I'm learning these people out here on the radio, learning them French today.
Oh, French.
France.
Learn
French fries.
Learn Spanish, man.
Spanish.
Habla el inglés, senor. Rick.
Senor. I'm not a.
Hey, let's go back to the Gasconade River.
All right, let's go.
But what are you going to do over there this
Oh,
weekend?
we're going to spend the weekend camping, and like we spoke earlier about the opening of the bass season, so I'll be participating in that. You can guarantee from dusk till dawn.
Wow,
Bass
I
layer.
used to do that from dusk till dawn.
I'm gonna start calling it BS.
Uh-oh. I'm not going to ask what that means.
Bass Slayer. What else could
Bass
it mean?
Slayer.
What else could it mean?
Well, out in the hills with cowboys and cows.
Wouldn't be the first time.
But you were telling me you're going to throw this lychee thing.
Yeah, it's it imitates a
Helgramite.
Helgramite, yeah.
Who makes it?
God makes hogamites.
Berkeley, I think, makes it.
Berkeley makes this one.
Yeah.
Well, we start the War of Wars.
The War of Wars.
Yeah, you need to try the HD Helgramites.
Oh, the HD, by HD Tackle, right?
Yes, they make some of the best soft plastics out there, and I fish a lot of the big crayfish. Now, Rick, he'll call me a liar again.
No, I ain't
Be the
never called
third
him a
time on
liar.
the show. But on the Merrimack, just
We do have
4
to
or 5
invite
years
the
ago,
fact checkers in quite a
hey,
bit.
I check my own facts.
At the door. Yeah, he checks them at the door.
I was on the Merrimack in a kayak, and these big back bays that you get off the rivers, great places to check out back up on those shade trees. This was a short kayak, too. I flipped one of them big HD
You
cross.
wouldn't know it'd be short like the school bus.
It was yellow, too. The kayak was yellow.
and he's driving it, too.
Yeah.
What the heck?
It's just a carryover. But I flipped this big HD cross. The water was up and muddy just a little bit, so dark color, big profile. Flipped it up under this overhanging bush and not really paying attention. I wasn't expecting anything to happen. And it freaked me out for a minute. My eyesight's not what it used to be. And I thought I saw my line moving upstream. And what is going on? Lifted that rod. I thought it was snagged. That's truth. That's truth, Rick. But, hey, put a little pressure on it and this thing takes off. Towing my kayak.
Towing your kayak.
Towing my kayak. I had like a 14-pound line on, and that thing rolled over the surface, big old largemouth bass, 23.5 inches. Now, Lee,
Wow.
what would that weigh?
Upwards of 6.5, 7 pounds, probably.
See there? He knows, Rick.
Oh, I see that.
Yeah. All right, I posted that.
Lee's got them letters behind his name, too.
Yes, he does.
And it ain't PhD.
It's CATCH, catch fish, man.
Catch fish.
Yeah.
It's
But
BS.
now, I posted that on Facebook, and I had a guy out of St. Louis area that just basically called me a liar.
I can't imagine.
But he'd gotten on a guide the week before who'd posted a big walleye. I basically called him a liar. I think he straightened him out, I said, well, I didn't weigh it. I didn't guess. I went by the charts.
By the charts, yeah.
And it would have weighed 6.3 to 7.2 pounds. I chose 7.2 pounds.
Well, of course you did. Ain't you ever heard of sticking it way out there too? You know, when you take a photograph of it.
Oh,
to make
absolutely.
It look
I'll show you. You know Billy Smith, the guy down on the Current River, you know, great smallmouth fisherman. I was with him one time. He's throwing crankbaits, crawdad-colored crankbaits in the spring up in the eddies. He caught 3 over 3 pounds out of one eddy. Well, one of them was probably pushing 4, and I laid it out on his forearm, extended. That smallmouth looked like he's 3 foot long.
Bill even gets people to hold his fish for him out there, so he's
Really
7-8
looks
feet in
big.
front of him.
Oh, I shouldn't tell this on my wife, but I have to tell this smallmouth story.
Will she listen to this? She won't be
I'm not
listening.
even going to tell her about it. And don't you guys tell either. But when we first got together, we're going to have a 17th wedding anniversary in December. Can you believe she put up with me that long?
I can't believe it.
Yeah, but she wanted to go back to Pennsylvania. You know, that's where she was from, around Pittsburgh, and she hadn't been home in like 20 years. She kept dropping hints. I want to go to Pittsburgh. I didn't want to go to Pittsburgh. Nasty old Steel City. That's all I knew about it. So I'm in the office working on a deadline, typing an article early one morning, and she just barged in, you know, slung the door open and come over. I want to go back to Pittsburgh. And it ticked me off just a little bit, you know, and I wheeled around my office chair, fell back in my chair, and I said, look, Diane, I was really huffy, you know. I said, you call out there and find a smallmouth bass fishing guide that runs a jet boat that is also an outdoor rider and will take me for free, we'll go. I thought, boy, I got rid of her. She kind of stomped out of the office, you know. I thought, well, we'll probably go next year. She had it all arranged in 2 hours. Man, it cost me a lot of money. We hopped a plane, and she's a big Steelers fan, you know, and went to the Steelers game. But I had to apologize. Pittsburgh is now an absolutely gorgeous city, man. They've cleaned it up, the downtown area where the rivers come together. The Allegheny and Monongahela come together to make the Ohio. These guys come up the
Do
rivers.
they have snow geese there?
I don't know. Yeah, close.
Hopefully no spiders.
Yeah, lots of spiders. Because they got big yellow bridges that are covered in spider webs. But people come up the rivers in the boat to tailgate. They tailgate on their boat for the ball games.
For the ball games.
Yeah, absolutely. But to wrap this fishing story up, we went out. Diane, bless her heart, failed to tell me that she grew up fishing the Allegheny. And this gal, this gal caught the biggest fish, the most fish, the last fish. Just whipped me big time.
You had a lot of content to write about then, at least.
I did. But I got her back. We're going a little long here, but I can edit. Got back home, and a friend of mine, big ex-Marine, called, and he said, Bill, I just got my first assignment from Cabela's Outfitters Journal. What's your topic? Smallmouth fishing. He said, I've got the article done, but I need a really good photograph to go with this article. I said, I've got the perfect photograph. I seen a picture of me with Diane's big fish. Because they get a big fish to boat, I take photos of everybody, you know. All right, the magazine comes in, I lay it on the corner of my desk, waiting for her to come home from work. I got it all spread out, big full-page color photograph of me with her fish. As she walked by to come in to say hello, you know, she about broke her neck doing a double take. That's my fish. I caught that fish. I took the photograph. How'd it get that magazine? So, boy, I'm just hee-hawing, laughing. I got her big time, you know. I'm so proud of myself. She stomped out of the office again. 10 minutes later, my phone rang. It's Stevie, the boy that wrote the article. He said, Bill, I don't know what I'm going to do. I said, why, Stevie? Big old ex-Marine, 6'6", sound like he's about to cry. And I said, Stevie, what's going on, man? He said, Diane just sent me a bill for $250 for that photograph. I said, son, you are on your own. Hey, folks, I hope you've enjoyed it today. Rick Damouth, it's been fun.
Guys, I tell you, if you enjoy it, ring the store at Cowtown. Tell them you enjoyed it. 573-885-6300. 573-885-6300. And if you can't make it to Cowtown, send money.
Funny.